At the end of the day, I think the journey that we're all on is getting really, really comfortable in our own skin, really loving and embracing and accepting ourselves. And here's the reality. If that didn't happen, then we probably weren't testing ourselves and really pushing our own limits. So 100%, did we doubt we were doing the right things? Yes, but as time goes on, just like with anything, the certainty grows more and more.
I'm Katie.
I'm Anna.
She's a psychotherapist.
And she runs a photography empire. Together we make music and we podcast
to encourage ourselves
and you
to do the things that scare us most.
Hey guys, we are back with an amazing second half of season 2. We've got some powerful interviews and topics coming up that we know you're going to love, and today's episode is no exception. Dr. Matt Smith has a revolutionary approach to health, healing, and maximizing human potential. He's someone that Dan and I have been introduced to recently and has changed our life in a relatively short amount of time. He's sharing a ton of wisdom in this episode about what he does in the day-to-day, and I also loved getting to ask him what it was like to start his business in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Make sure you hang out with us to the very end of the episode because I want to make sure you hear what he has to say about doing things even if they've been done before. I think it's pretty brilliant, and it might not be exactly what you think. I hope you enjoy.
My name is Dr. Matt Smith. I am co-owner with my wife, Dr. Monica, of REV, Center for Optimal Living. I am a chiropractor by license, but as Katie knows and most of her family knows, we do our approach very different than what you typically think of a chiropractic office. Our focus is really on the nervous system, helping people overcome chronic stresses and challenges that have been built up in their body that are preventing them from living their life to the absolute fullest.
That is an elevator pitch.
That was good.
Yes.
Very
It's the first time I've ever said that, so hopefully it went well.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding.
You're a professional. I love it.
I may have said that 1,000 or 3,000 times.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's amazing. Any questions?
No, that's it. So
That's
nice having you, Dr.
It was
Matt.
a really great time on your show today. Yeah.
Well, I'll just say the first thing that stands out to me, which I already love, is that you're saying, here's this paradigm, this thing that you might recognize, but actually we take a different approach. Mm-hmm. And the heart and soul of that is helping people remove obstacles that may have been in their lives for their whole lives. I'm very intrigued by that.
Yeah, 100%. And I love the profession of chiropractic, but no doubt about it, over the last probably 40, 50 years, we have awful brand equity. Just because most people think of a chiropractor, he's going to pop and twist you and crack you, and then you got to come back the rest of your life, and you just go whenever you're in pain. And there's nothing against those chiropractors that do that. There's a place for that. Several years ago, I was in that place where I really needed just that pain alleviation. And for me, I went into chiropractic school thinking that's what I was going to do, but then got introduced to a very different style and understanding of the body. And if we take a step back, the origination of chiropractic started over 100 years ago by a man named D.D. Palmer. And really it was based on the nervous system, based on the functioning of the nervous system to really affect the entire body. And, it's just been changed and kind of bastardized over the last several years, especially with the medical model. So really the foundation of what chiropractic stands for is nervous system health. And people used to go to chiropractors for all sorts of ailments, all sorts of physical issues. So it's just now it's kind of coming back into the surface of what it is that we actually do.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting. So how did that change for you come about? Like you said, at one point you were practicing that traditional chiropractic.
Yeah, so I was going into chiropractic school. Before chiropractic school, got introduced to a chiro. I got the typical manual popping adjustment. It felt amazing. It felt
good. Which is so fun.
It's so fun. Oh, absolutely. I love that style of adjustment. But for me personally, and what we've seen with other people as well, it's like the pain would go away for a day or a couple of days or a couple of weeks or a couple of months. months, but it would just come back. And I didn't really think to the depths of why that was actually happening. But I saw this chiropractor and said, this guy seems like he has a pretty great life. He gets to pop people for a living. Looks like he makes a decent living. And, I was like, all right, I'm going to be a chiropractor. So not great intentions going into this profession that I'm in now. But I got into school, and about 3 to 4 quarters in, about a year into school, I got married to my wife, Monica. We went on a humanitarian trip, a mission trip in chiropractic school. And there was 5 doctors on this trip, and there was this one guy named Dr. Suki Muker, and he was someone who completely revolutionized and changed our life in a very short time. We spent a week on this mission trip. The first time I saw him working with people and taking people through this, different sort of process, which is a very gentle process, not what you typically think. I see him barely touching people's backs and necks, and I'm like, what the heck is this weirdo doing? Like, he's not doing anything to these people. I thought he was an insane person. And I'm like, Monica, I told my wife, Monica, I'm like, stay away from this guy. Like, this guy's a cuckoo. Funny thing is, now he's one of my best friends and my mentors and coaches. But I found out, I started talking to him on the trip, and I found out he was an Ironman athlete, 7-time Ironman athlete, an ultra endurance athlete, a philanthropist, like just a really awesome human being. I was like, okay, this guy's not a weirdo. Let me figure out what the heck he's doing. Long story short, I got adjusted by him. I got some work done, and I felt something I had never felt before in my entire life. I felt energy moving in my body. I felt emotions coming up, and I got off the table. I was teary-eyed, and I was like, I was kind of upset because I knew something happened and I didn't understand. And I'm like, what the heck did you just do to me? And that started this whole journey of really understanding the nervous system, the bioenergetics of the body, how our nervous system processes life experiences and how they get trapped in our body. And really, when we begin to integrate and process the tension built up within our body, we can express higher levels of health, well-being, and vitality. And then really, once that stuff goes away, learning to be more adaptable, more resilient to the future stresses and challenges that come our way. Because as you guys talk about, it's always going to happen. Stuff is always going to come up. It's really our ability to move through those things. That's what determines our quality of life.
That's amazing. I have a clinical psychology background, and awesome. That all the bells are ringing because, like, even just The Body Keeps the Score, that totally. Book, comes to mind. And I think that that's just a revolutionary idea for so many people that, oh my gosh, our bodies are holding on to, mental, emotional, spiritual things physically. What? Yeah. And it's like a whole new world when you learn that that concept exists,
Totally. And Eastern civilizations and Eastern cultures have known this for thousands of years. They've known that the body holds on to these patterns, things like acupuncture and yoga, really helping people to move through those things. But our Western society, we've kind of separated away from that. But what's cool is in the year 2020, when we're recording this podcast, the science is finally starting to catch up to what these Eastern cultures have known for thousands of years. And, we as Americans and Canadians and this Western side of the world, we need that science, which is cool. And now science is bridging the physical with the spiritual, and that science is really just starting to change some things.
Yeah. Thank you for including the Canadians. I appreciate that.
Totally, yeah. Well, my mentor and some of my friends are from Canada, so I want to include the Canadians. Shout out to the Canadians. Canada's awesome.
It is awesome. I'm curious about that moment. Like, it really stuck with me that you said, you were kind of upset because you realized, oh my gosh, I think I just encountered something paradigm shifting, and I wasn't really here for that.
I wasn't here for that.
My life's about to change.
Yeah.
I literally, the word that came out of my mouth when I got off the table, and I said, shit. I'm like, what the hell did you just do to me? And because now I have to learn it. And I was not excited about that. I really, truly wasn't, because, you live a certain life, and you know, if you stay on this path, life can be comfortable. You stay on this path, I can create a pretty darn good life. I got an amazing wife. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and I can kind of project things are going to go pretty easily for me in the future. Obviously, there's going to be challenges, bumps, and bruises. But when I had this realization, first I was kind of resistant to it. I was interested, foot, pinky toe in the door, want to learn a little bit, but I'm still over here. But my wife, Monica, the amazing woman that she is, when she felt this, when she heard this, when she learned these understandings of the nervous system, body keeping the score, how to move through it, and how to really create an abundant and incredible and amazing life, she was like, this is what I have been waiting for. And I believe that me and Monica's paths crossed perfectly and synergistically because we work really well with each other, where I'm more of the, how are we going to get this done? She's like, let's freaking go. And sometimes we go back and forth with that as well. But very much so in the beginning, I was resistant. And then I just kept learning more, kept taking in more information, started practicing these certain ways of working with the body. Me personally going through it myself, I saw healing in myself that, I had been dealing with issues and pain and anxiety for years and years and years. And all of a sudden, over a very short time, that was starting to go away. And so for me, when I saw other people as well going through this process, I decided to take a step back and realize I would be doing a major disservice if I did not share this with the world, share this with my tribe, my community, when I opened up our practice here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So really it came out of first resistance, but then just seeing it's like, wow, this is a really incredible way of healing and an incredible way of life. And I would not be fulfilling my purpose here if I did not continue and move forward.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thanks for sharing that, because I think that's probably really relatable, of that moment of knowing like I have two paths, right? I could continue really comfortable, like easy path. My family will be well taken care of, like no uncertainty. But I think I'm really being, now that I have this information that I didn't have before, I think I really am being drawn to this other path.
Yeah, it's like the known path versus the unknown path.
What did that process kind of look like for you? Like, how long of a process was it where you really dove in and kind of went all in? What was that like?
As I said, Monica was all in. I was more of the practical one, like, well, how's it going to work? Like, this is kind of like working with the energetics of the body. Are people really ready to hear that? So it took me, I was a year into school, chiropractic school was 4 years. I didn't get really comfortable in knowing this is what we were going to do until about a year before we graduated. So it took about 2 years of learning, practicing, trying, and doing things. And that was perfect for me because this was a whole new world. And it was a world that not just about, working with the nervous system health, but it was personal growth and development, learning about energy and quantum physics, vibration, tone, energy, how this entire world and universe is actually made up in a whole different paradigm of understanding. So, just when you learn anything, it's like that click, that aha moment. At first it's scary, but then it's eventually like, wow, there's a saying that we've heard a long time ago, once you see, you can't unsee. And so for us, we saw it. And so it was just a gradual process. And the funny thing is, yes, it took 2 years to get really comfortable with doing that. But here's the reality of once you start growing, once you start trying uncomfortable things, doing things out of your comfort zone, they get easier and easier. It never goes away. The uncomfortableness never goes away, but it's just like, nope, this is what I do now. And so you just don't even think about it. And what took 2 years, if an opportunity like that happens today, it takes, 2 hours or 2 days to finally move past that. So it's just, in the beginning, everything is challenging. Everything is tough. But, I think what we've learned is that if you just keep going and follow the path, of not just least resistance or most resistance, but you follow where your heart is leading you. There is no wrong. You can't do it incorrectly. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And I think the journey is really accepting, embracing, no matter how challenging something is, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. And everything is always working out for me.
So Matt sends out these Monday emails, and they're really great. And we'll share the link if that's something everyone can sign up for. But so he sent out some affirmations recently, and one of them was, everything's always working out for me. I've been awesome. Practicing that one, and it's really good. Absolutely 100% on board with everything you said. And I feel like that's, stuff we kind of talk about on here a lot too, is just normalizing that knowledge that, like, just because it doesn't feel super good or easy when you start, that it's not, that doesn't mean it's not worth pursuing. So I really appreciate that. Along the way, you said Monica was 100% in from the start. You were kind of thinking about the practical side of things. Was there any point along the way that either of you were like maybe stopped and second guessed your choice? Like, were you thinking like,
hell yeah,
what did we get ourselves into?
Of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the journey that we're all on is getting really, really comfortable in our own skin, really loving and embracing and accepting ourselves. And here's the reality. If that didn't happen, then we probably weren't testing ourselves and really pushing our own limits. So 100%, did we doubt we were doing the right things? Yes, but as time goes on, just like with anything, the certainty grows more and more. And that's all that is reps. That's reps of learning, reps of sharing, trying new things out. The more that we can stay consistent to anything. And people talk about learning a new language, playing a guitar or ukulele or the piano, people that sing, anything that's a skill. I believe we all have the capacity to be able to do that. One of Monica's old friends said something. He was a really great singer, and she asked him, something along the lines like, how could I do that? Or do you think anyone can do that? He's like, 100%, anyone can do this. It's literally, obviously there's people that are gifted with that, but anyone can be great at anything as long as they just keep staying consistent with it. So that's one of the biggest messages that we like to share with people. It's like, what do you want to do? You want to do X, Y, and Z? Awesome. Where do you start? What's the emotion tied to it? And how can every single day you move one step forward to that? And knowing your shit's going to come up, knowing the fear is going to come up, and actually understanding from a neurological, biochemical level that when the stuff comes up, it's actually just opportunities for you to finally move past and grow from neural patterns and emotions that have been preventing you from moving forward. So that's the big thing. Me and Katie, we talked about it. It's like all these experiences and all these doubts, they're actually just opportunities. They're opportunities to learn, grow, and evolve from.
I hope that people don't miss that. That I think it's profound that you're saying, when you encounter something that we might call like a problem or a challenge or an obstacle or resistance, that's an opportunity for you to move past it once and for all.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Isn't that so powerful? Because I think a lot of times as we are developing a skill or working on something or working towards something that's frustrating, all we actually really want is to defeat those things once and for all. But we fail to see them coming up as opportunities to do exactly that. That's amazing. Totally. I have goosebumps.
Yeah. I mean, a quote that I love, and I'm going to mess it up, I think, but it's by Albert Einstein, is that one of the most important decisions a person can make is answering the question, do I live in a friendly or hostile universe? And whatever your answer is to that is going to determine how you view these experiences. And what quantum physics is showing us is that our external world and our perception of our external world is merely just our internal world reflecting that. So where our vibration is, where our energy is, and whether you want to call it God or the universe, our life is literally happening for us. It's not happening to us. And everything that we ever need is going to come up in due time, right? And sometimes we need a nice and easy decade, but sometimes we need a shit show, right? And that's all from within us, the lessons and things that we need and that we're putting out into this world. So that's why doing the inner work, being okay with who you are as a human being, knowing and trusting that there is a divine, there is a love, there is something that is in this entire universe that is looking out for you. And so that makes it easier when you connect to that power and intelligence that lives within every single cell within your body. When you connect to that, when those challenges come, it makes it significantly easier to move through it because you're taken care of.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated by that idea too, that, you're not saying, like you said earlier, you're not saying, well, just take the path of least resistance, or not even necessarily take the path of most resistance. It's just that your relationship to resistance changes when you connect with yourself and when you accept yourself.
Yeah, and easier said than done to just accept 100%. Yourself. Yeah, and I mean, that's something I've adopted over the last probably year or so. We hear the saying, take the path of least resistance because you want to be in flow and everything like that. But who's to say you're supposed to take that path right now? Don't be looking for taking the heavier resistance. If you can make it easier on yourself, absolutely. I'm all about efficiency. I'm all about doing the things that are going to make life easier. but who am I to say I'm not supposed to be going through this challenge for some reason that's going to lead to something that is actually going to be extraordinary. So it's actually not seeing, and that's the duality of life. We tend to say things are good or bad, but I think the spiritual path and understanding of who we are as human beings is not seeing that there's no good and there is no bad. There just is. And really, I believe that's the journey we're all on, to really come to not grips with, but to really understand for our own personal life.
I really relate to that moment where you were like, your oh shit moment, where you were like, oh shit, now I have to learn this.
Yeah.
I had a very similar moment before we started doing this work. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you would say you're glad you did it.
I'm very, 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 very satisfied.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that your location is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. How has that community been in welcoming your practice, and what's that been like so far?
Well, remember, your external world is just a reflection of your internal world. So as we do anything, we get more confident and more certain, and we're able to show up as the best version of ourselves. When we have doubt and fear and anger and regret and those emotions that don't serve us, what do we see more of in our world via our nervous system, our perception system, is unsureness, doubt, anger, rejection, all of that. So this has been a journey over the last 4 years in Chattanooga to really embrace and know who I am as a human being, who I am as a doctor, who I am as working with people in my community. And now today, and I'll give you an example. It's all levels of mastery, all levels of growth. My mentor, Dr. Suki, has been on this path and journey for over 25 years. I've been on this journey for 4 years. We have family and friends and chiropractic students that have been on the journey for 1 year, right? Or 6 months. The level of certainty, it just continues to grow and grow. Actually, I was having a conversation with Dr. Suki. He has his mentor, Arnaud Bernier, been doing this work for over 50 years, and just hung out with him several weeks ago. He's like, it's just really amazing to see the journey and path of people that just continue on that. So 100%, it's just, it's been a journey for me to get in tune, to be confident within myself. And so over the last 4 years, year one, a lot of hesitation. What are you doing? You're not really doing what I think a chiropractor should do. Now today, if I see 200 new people over the year, 3 people will think I'm a crazy person, which is a huge improvement compared to, 50% back in the day.
I was going to say, that's probably not statistically different than chance anyway. So
yeah, exactly, right?
You're good.
I feel like at least 3 people think I'm crazy all the time.
Yeah.
Totally. I'll correct that. I think 197 out of 200 think I'm a little bit crazy and very like, what the heck is he doing? Only 3 people don't want to continue that process.
3 people refuse to entertain it.
They're like, this guy, I'm never going to see him again. Other people are like, I'm hurting so bad. I got this X, Y, and Z going on. I'm willing to try anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the experience that is the most normal, where people are just really at the end of their rope when they come to you? That's
a good majority of it, and not to share too much, but sure. Your husband, he came in and he was hurting. He was at a place where I'm willing to try anything, and Dr. Joe Dispenza says something about, he's a neuroscientist, and he talks a lot about the brain-body connection. And I love this quote and how he views it. It's like, we could either make a decision to change in a place of fear, anger, and pain, or we can make a decision to change in a place of health, well-being, vitality, and abundance. Most people wait until they're in hate, anger, and pain to make that choice. So that's always a message that I share with people. Yeah, 90% of people that are going to walk into my office, they already got something going on. It's the 10% of people that actually feel amazing and great, but they're just looking to take their life to the next level. I love working with those people as well, because they understand that, if we're not growing, we're dying. If we're not moving forward, we're moving backwards. There is no stagnancy in life. So they make the conscious choice to, in an empowered state, to really take their life to the next level. Now, that being said, if you have anxiety, depression, disease processes, symptomatology, doesn't mean that you can't get there. We just first have to overcome some of those neurological patterns and change the biochemistry and change the body, change how we think and how we act in order to get to that state.
Yeah, that sort of 90-10 split you were just talking about, I feel like is also very true for like psychotherapy. I had a psychotherapy practice for years, and I think that's very accurate. Most people are at hate, anger, and pain when they come in. And like, that's good. Like, come seek help when you need help, you
Totally.
know? But then there are like sort of those few who come in who are like, I just want to live my best life.
Yeah.
And they are. It's totally different work, you know?
Totally.
You're starting in a
100%.
totally different place in the path, and it's so interesting.
And good for you for being able to help and support those people. And, you know, that's the issue with our medical model and all, you know, a lot of practitioners, doctors, people that work with people, massage therapists, acupuncturists, like the first question is, what's wrong with you?
Right.
What do you got? What do you got? What's your symptoms? You don't have anything? How can I can't help you then?
Right.
And the reality is that anyone with a heart and a soul, which that's every single person on this world, can support and help people grow just a little bit more through whatever avenue they choose to be able to support people.
Yeah. That actually made me think back to the beginning of this conversation when you were talking about how the field of chiropractics has kind of drifted, and even thinking about like my own chiropractor and how his practice has trended more towards, you know, sports and fitness chiropractics and accident recovery injury chiropractics, because like that's what insurance covers. You know, insurance isn't there for you to live your best life. It's there for you to dig out of a hole.
And it's really unfortunate that that's the case with the insurance, and that's why we're a cash practice. And please, I want to make it very clear, there is nothing wrong with that style of chiropractic.
Right.
That is so helpful for so many people. But for us and what we've been drawn to, it's really about the optimization of the human being. So it's really focused on that nervous system. But again, like when an athlete rolls their ankle, an athlete injures something, when someone needs to go through that rehab process, I'm not telling them to come here and go through those PT exercises and all that stuff. This is why this world's so cool. We all have different gifts and talents and things. So when we can all just see things from a holistic standpoint, we can all start working together to really create the greatest change possible, not only for one person, but for the entire community and the entire world.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and just since you did bring up Dan's journey, to go ahead and touch on that some, I mean, I think watching him, I mean, having been to a chiropractor for years and years and years and years, and all sorts of different doctors, frankly, and it didn't work. Coming to you, and literally within 3 days, he was just a totally different person. Like, I've never seen anything like that. And so that, I mean, it's attention grabbing, to say the least, you know, and I know you have tons of stories like that. Do you want to share any more about what people could expect when they come to you? You already said it's definitely different than a typical chiropractor. What's it like?
You know, whether it's coming to me or someone who really understands the nervous system, neurological patterning, and I'll back up a second. And again, you're going to have viewers from all around the world. It's not just people that live in the Southeast, right? So I want to be able to give them the most value that I can. Like I do 60 to 90 minute health talks where I really talk about the depths of this. I also do full day intensive workshops. So I'm going to try and explain it in like 3 minutes, right? So
Perfect.
Your nervous system, one of the very first things to be formed in the human body when you were inside of your mother's belly. This would go on to, this intelligence inside of your mother's belly would go on to create 100 trillion cells. This 100 trillion cell organism then came into this world. And when you're inside your mother's belly, you formed ears, eyes, nose, lungs, liver, gallbladders, and this intelligence inside of your mother created you. And that intelligence and that power never, ever, 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 ever abandon you when you were born. It resides within your human nervous system. And the nervous system controls how your heart pumps blood, how your immune system functions. There's 100 trillion cells in the human body, and each and every single one of those cells goes through 100,000 chemical reactions every single second, over and over and over again. And all of that is perfectly organized and synchronized via the human nervous system. So we literally have this incredible supercomputer that lives within our body. And now your nervous system is also your perception system. It's how you see, hear, taste, touch, smell, and that intuitive gut feeling. And in life, We have physical, mental, emotional, and chemical experiences that our nervous system has to process and make sense. I get into how all these experiences are nothing more than a bunch of waves and energies and particles and frequencies that we have to perceive. And what happens is, if we have a good experience, something that gives us peace, love, gratitude, joy, enthusiasm, we integrate that experience, we become more whole, more complex, we grow, we evolve, and we take a step forward in our life. And everyone in life, whether they've had a crappy life or an amazing life, they've had tons of experiences that they've integrated and moved forward, because when they first came to this world, they didn't know how to speak or walk. And most likely, if they're over the age of 10, they're speaking and walking, right? Or 5, right? So they've definitely grown and evolved. So we have all these experiences, but it's the stresses, the challenges, the curveballs, the things that are outside of our capacity to handle. Those are the things that, we talk about opportunities. Every experience is just an opportunity. Our body's so intelligent, it doesn't want to miss out on learning, growing, and evolving. So just like body keeps the score, we talk about how the nervous system holds on to these experiences, gets trapped in our muscles, our ligaments, our fascia, different parts. There's certain neurological centers in our body where we tend to hold more potential energy. And then, long story short, this begins a feedback loop in a cycle with our hormones, our endocrine system, our biochemical system, our nervous system. So over time, we build up these patterns. And when this disrupts the brain-body communication, we start experiencing cell degeneration, aches, pains, low energy, anxiety, depression. Our body's just not functioning at a high level. And that's typically, whether it's right away or several years down the road, in regards to your husband, Dan, people will come in, we start letting the body and helping and teaching the body to process those past emotions. And once those things get offloaded, just like if you were to cut open your finger and not touch it for 2 weeks, the finger is going to heal. Your cells are going to go through cell regeneration. You're going to grow platelets and new epithelial cells. Our body naturally wants to heal. And when we can offload the system just a little bit, when we can offload the system from stress, when we can eat a little bit better, less toxin food, less toxic thoughts, when we start doing these things, the body starts healing a little bit better and a little bit better. The body then starts moving in the right direction.
I'm speechless.
That was a great summary, a great 3-minute summary.
I think our recording cut out. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, one more time. Yeah, totally.
I'm just kidding. No, that's incredible. And it's incredible news, and I feel like that's got to be so hopeful to a lot of people. I know it was hopeful to us personally.
Totally. It's something that changed my life, and I shared with you in that consult. When I found out that our body approximately every 4.5 years, through cellular reorganization, all the atoms and cells that make us up, the carbons, the hydrogens, the nitrogens, the oxygen atoms, they are brand new every several years. Some research says 2 years, some research says 7 years, but approximately every 4.5 years. We are literally a brand new body, and it's how our nervous system works, the thoughts and things that we tell ourselves, how we process, the foods that we eat, the better foods or worse foods, how we move our body. And it's all of these things together that literally start creating a new body. And if you do that long enough, a new person.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to add.
Do you have a mic that you can drop? I would really appreciate that if you did.
Of course. And it's not to, that information can be viewed 2 ways. It's like, why then do I keep getting worse and worse? Mm-hmm. Well, what are you doing in your life that's not serving you? What are you doing in your life that is harming or hindering that? And so if you're like, I eat super clean, I don't have any toxins in my house. Well, first off, are you reading the labels fully? Are you actually really doing that stuff? Because a lot of people say, oh, I eat healthy, but then they go and have a Big Mac or fast food or whatever. Like, oh, I hate
lettuce
fat.
on that.
Yeah,
Dr. Matt.
I hear all the time, oh, I hate getting fast food, but I have to do it because it's a rush. Well, how you do anything is how you do everything. So in everything in your life, like, are you being impeccable with those things? So changing those things over time. Like, I wouldn't even think about going through a fast food restaurant anymore because it's just not part of who I am anymore.
Yeah.
No, not offending anyone, trying to offend anyone that does that. But there's no doubt about it. I have not seen yet a very successful organic fast food restaurant. right? Or then where you can pick something up and it's actually going to be healthy, have tons of life and vitality for you. So how you do anything is how you do everything. And then if you are starting to clean that stuff up, what are you doing for your mental state? What are you doing for your spiritual state? Are you taking time for yourself every morning to meditate, to journal, to read something that uplifts you, gives you gratitude, enthusiasm? Or do you wake up, look at your phone right away, and get right back into the rat race of stresses and challenges and things you have to do? So I just think it's super important that we just start creating habits that set ourselves up for success and not attaching to, I've been doing this for 3 weeks and I haven't seen any changes. Like, shit, guys, like life, I'm 31 years old. It's taken me 31 years to get here. When I was 25, I was in an awful state. And so in a relatively short time, 5-6 years, I have, if I had to put a number to it, I have 100x my quality of life. Yeah. And what's cool is I actually see that as like, man, I've lived here for 31 years. It's been only like 5-6 years that I've been doing this. I wonder what the next 6 years are going to look like. I wonder what I'm going to feel like when I'm 40. I feel like I'm going to be a rock star when I'm 40. And then the same thing. That's how we change how we look at aging, because we can just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, it really is good news and bad news that there's something we can do about it, right?
Yeah.
I think it's hard because it can be hard. It can be so hopeful, but I think for a lot of people, it's like, oh no, I have to take responsibility for this, Yep. And that can be a tough pill for people to swallow, but what I hear you saying is it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it, I have a question too. Like you're saying, now you're living 100x what you were living when you were 25. And I'm curious about sort of how your own growth as a person affects the way that you handle fear. Like, do you find you experience less fear, or that there are fewer options that seem scary, or are you more likely to kind of tackle fear and run towards it? How does it work for you?
Fear never goes away. I heard something a long time ago. If you don't have fear that comes up, you're playing too small. And it's not something that is exciting to you because you're not putting yourself out there, right? So if we never have fear, it means we never looked over the edge to see what's possible for our life. So that's just one thing we just got to accept. It's fear is actually not a bad thing. Fear lets us know we care. Fear lets us know that this is something worth, because if you didn't have fear and you didn't have the worry of what people might think or say, it's like, it wouldn't mean anything to you. So 100% fear is totally normal, and it's just embracing that. Fear and excitement from a biochemical standpoint is actually just the same thing. It's just your perception of it. It actually creates the same biochemistry, fear and excitement. So it's really I'm not fear, I'm just excited about this. So I got to change and shift my perception on it. Another thing is, the more I think that we grow, the more that we increase our ability to handle stresses and challenges, the more the universe is going to throw our way. Hey. So I think your problems never go away. They actually get bigger. They actually get, and it's not really a problem. It's just more opportunities, right? So we got to change our words that we use, being impeccable with our word. Our opportunities and challenge and opportunities for growth grow. But then just like everything, the bigger the opportunity, the bigger the growth, the bigger that we're playing in life. There's no exoneration from this work. If we choose to take autonomy of our life and start changing our life, we got to realize that it's going to be a lifelong journey, but it doesn't have to be a lifelong battle. It can be a lifelong journey. And as long as we're still growing and learning and doing new things, that I believe is the recipe for fulfillment in life.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing that. I was thinking while you guys were talking a second ago, I was talking with a coaching client yesterday who's 41 years old, and she said, I'm just not where I thought I would be at 41. And I think we can all relate to that on some level. And I told her, I said, I've heard that from 20-year-olds. I've heard it from 60-year-olds. I think it is a universal thing to a certain extent. So I love your message of, in a short amount of time, we really do have the opportunity and possibility to make big changes, and, we're not, obviously nobody knows how long they're promised to live, but you have a lot of life left at 40. You have a lot of life left at 60, whatever the case may be. So I just love your message that integrating these changes really can make a huge difference. And it's, it's not too late to start.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't figured out everyone's a little bit different, but, for me, I could easily say, man, I wish I knew this in my 20s, early 20s and teenagers. I'd be so much farther ahead. Not talking about fast food again, but Colonel Sanders, the person that created KFC, I think he was like 60-something years old when he started KFC.
I love it.
Morgan Freeman didn't start acting until his 50s or something like that. So like there's all these examples of people living 30, 40, 50 years of life and doing jack with their life, essentially. And then this aha moment, this realization, I want more. And they actually still, in that very relatively shorter time that they could have had, created a legacy, created something that is going to last for future generations. So it does not matter how old you are. I have a guy that just started care here in our office for about a month and a half now. He's 73 years old, and for last 15, 20 years, he's gotten away from the growth mindset and all these things about helping himself. He walked in these doors. He was in pain. I helped him get out of pain relatively quickly, did a reassessment with him. He's like, for the first time in 20 years, I have hope again, and I'm really excited to get back into the things that I really enjoy and really love. So it does not matter how old you are. You just got to make the decision that I'm no longer going to run those old patterns from the past and really create something new in my life.
I love that. So if we can ask, what would you say to somebody that maybe has just had their oh shit moment, or maybe are thinking about starting something or starting a journey that might seem hard or challenging to them? What advice would you give them?
I would give 2 pieces of advice. Number 1, we have to cultivate hope, because if we do not have hope, as we talked about, it's going to be really, really hard when the challenges come to be able to stay the path. So we have to somehow get to a place where we know this may be challenging, this may be hard, but I know I'm doing this for a purpose, and I know that I'm moving myself in the right direction because I'm taking the action steps like X, Y, and Z every single day. Because we tend to just look at where I'm at currently right now and say I'm either good or bad, but that's not how cell biology works. That's not how change works. That's not how we plant seeds in a garden and expect them to be, rooted up and grown the next day, right? That would be crazy. We wouldn't, put some seeds out there and expect something to be out there right away. We understand things take time, but for our own life, we tend to I need results now. So it's cultivating hope, number 1. And then the second part is something that I think everyone can really, really resonate with and get something out of this. When we tend to think about a future outcome, a future event, and we say, I'm going to do this, it may be challenging or whatever it may be, we tend to just focus on the goal. My invitation to people is to focus on, okay, you want to quit your job and start this new venture. You want to be a millionaire. You want to travel the world. You want to do these things that you're not doing today. What does that person a year from now, 5 years from now, whatever timeline you give yourself, how does that person feel? What emotions does that person have? For me, 5 years ago, it was like, this is a person who feels good, who has high energy levels, who is able to tackle and challenge the stresses and curveballs very efficiently, and is connected and whole. And how can I tap into that emotion of that future person? I want to be a millionaire. What does a millionaire Matt, a millionaire Anna, a millionaire Katie feel like? Feels free, feels love, vitality, joy, super content, and super comfortable. What does that person feel like? So I always invite people to get into that future state today, connect to that emotion first thing in the morning and last thing at night before they start their day and before they go to sleep, connecting to that, changing their biochemistry, because from what quantum physics shows us and what this neurological system does is that when we tap into those emotions, those energies in motion, we begin to literally change our state, change our perception, start attracting different people, places, and things in our life. So number 1, you have to have hope and a knowing that everything is going to be okay and you're exactly where you need to be and you're absolutely divine and perfect. And number 2, attach the emotion of how you want to feel every single day.
I know that's usually our last question, but can I break the rules and have a follow-up question?
Absolutely not. Go ahead.
Please.
Yes, of course.
I was just thinking, okay, I love that. I'm like 100% on board. I have homework every morning and every night now. Thank you. I accept. My question is, would you say anything different to someone who is not clear about their purpose or what they want?
Yeah. What emotions do you want to feel in your life then?
Generally.
Be general. If you don't have specifics, be general.
Yeah.
For me, I want to feel connected. I want to feel love between my friends and my family. I want to feel abundance. I want to feel like I can travel for 3 weeks at a time and not have a stress in the world. I want to feel energized. I want to feel strong. So those are the emotions that if I don't have something specific that we're working towards, you know the good emotions and you know the bad emotions.
Right,
And we tend to get caught in, things are never going to work out for me. What about this? What about that? What about this? Just for 5 minutes, imagine everything is going to be perfect and I'm going to feel happiness and joy and love. And those are sometimes general, but like what you can do is thinking about an experience in your life that really truly does give you joy and happiness and gratitude. Gratitude, love, enthusiasm, and inspiration are the highest vibrational frequencies that one can emit. This has been measured in the body. So if you can focus on those, gratitude, love, enthusiasm, inspiration, when you focus on those, you start changing your biochemistry in your body.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm inspired.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find you? How do you want to be found, and where can that be done?
I'm hidden off the grid. So our website is revoptimalliving.com. We're on all social media platforms at that same thing, Rev Optimal Living, at Rev Optimal Living. We're not on Twitter because I don't like to tweet. I don't know. It's just not my thing. Everyone's like, you need a Twitter and a LinkedIn account. I was like, I don't really want to. We do stuff on Facebook and Instagram. My wife has a Facebook group called @rev.mama where she talks about toxin-free living. Has created a whole tribe and community that limits the toxins that they're taking in because there's literally so much. And my wife is a wealth of knowledge doing this over 11 years now, understanding what things are actually good, what things are bad, and also too staying up to date where 2019 X company was an amazing company. They then sold out, and now you got to look out for this, and this. So it's just everything in this world is constantly changing and evolving. So she has been an amazing resource for especially women and men too, but especially women that are wanting to really eliminate the toxins in their cleaning supplies, their beauty supplies, and everything that is around their household and life.
That's awesome. We'll definitely link to all those places in the show notes.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Of course, I really, really enjoy this. I love having conversations with like-minded people, and kudos to you guys for, overcoming fears and taking the step and making something that's I know is really supporting tons of people listening.
Thank you. And if you want to become a co-host, just let us know.
Yes, let us know. We're accepting a limited number of applications.
No, when you were talking earlier, I was like, can you just host this show? I think that would be better.
You guys are amazing. And I will eventually, I'll eventually do something, but here's the thing, guys. I will never be able to affect the people that you guys attract. Like my sister and her partner, Erica, and my brother-in-law, Brian, we're going to open 2 separate Rev locations here in Chattanooga.
Awesome.
Some people like, oh, awesome, we're growing. Other people's like, oh, there's competition.
Right.
Are you gonna be okay? Some people, Brian and Lauren and Erica, they're different souls, different vibrations, different people. I will never be able to support the people that they serve at the level that they're going to do it because that's their people, their tribe, who they're attracting in their life. So you guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. I'll never be able to help the people that you guys are helping. So you guys are exactly where you need to be.
Yeah, I think we should all be striving to get to a world where there's a shortage of people in pain. Yeah. And,
totally.
Now we have to fight over them. That's great. Let's have that problem,
But yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. And I think that's another conversation I have with people all the time because people will have an idea, but they think this has already been done. Mm-hmm. Why should I even start, And it's just...
Because you haven't done
your unique, ideas and gifting and the way you're going to say it. And like you said, the people you are going to talk to, it's just, we need everybody doing their important work.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Thanks for the encouragement.
Yes.
Of course.
Hey friends, Katie here. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If something resonated with you here, or if you just want to chat a little more about what this process could look like for you, would you do me a favor? Hop over to katiesnyder.com. That's KATIESNYDER.com. Hit the contact bar and send me a message. I help people just like you figure out what's standing in the way of them living the life of purpose they deserve. Whatever the case, I'd love to talk about it and figure out if there's something I can help you walk through. I'm offering listeners of the podcast $300 off their first coaching session package, and that's not something I'm going to offer anywhere else. So give me a call, send me a message. Let's start creating a life you're excited about living today.
Thanks for joining us today on the Doing Scary Things podcast. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe so you never miss one, leave a review, and share it with a friend. You can find our show notes and all kinds of other information at doingscarythings.com, as well as our new album, Whisper, under the band name Jasper and Jade. Until next time.
Yeah, what's your level of profanity allowed on this podcast?
Any and all.
You already said bastardized, which is such a great
Okay,
word.
cool.
I appreciated the use of that word.
Me
Yes.
too.
Yeah.